I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chancellor, you'll take the roll.
Mr. Kimball?
Here.
Mr. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Andruchik?
Here.
Mr. Wagoda? Here. Mr. Reaver?
Here. Okay, we're going to have an executive session, but before we go into that, are you recording? Go ahead.
That's right. Yes, Mr. myself, Manager Spittler.
Senior too quick.
Office Manager Megan Paul. Engineer Don Cuff. Council Member Steve Darish. Junior Troutman. And we have a few guests.
Yes, and if you're recording, state your name and where you're from.
MHP TV.
What was the name of that again?
MHP TV out of Minersville.
Thank you. Okay, now we can go into executive session. We need a motion. I'll make the motion.
For
Second.
personnel. For personnel.
For personnel. Okay. That's good.
Oh, BJ, I didn't hear what that was for.
Personnel.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Running a little late this evening.
Good, buddy.
Walking like I feel like, oh my God, my life is like this.
Okay.
Third. Just that morning. Can happen. Can happen. Especially over there. There's a lot going on. We only seem to get that kind of
All right,
activity.
we need a motion to get back in session. And a second? Second's good. All right. Back in session. Minutes in your packet. You look them over. You have a question?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Guest comments?
I had a question, if I could.
Mm-hmm. State your name, please.
Gene Haslam, on Pine Hill Street.
Okay.
Part of the questions that were submitted, and one of the answers was that you guys provided seemed to be missing a number. I'm just asking for that information, that's all. It was the one asking about how much water does our system lose each year. And it says that you go on to treat 286.9 million gallons of water. And our losses, including flushing, fires, and breaks, are estimated to be million gallons. What million gallons? You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
Can I show you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I show you?
What number is that?
20.
20.
It's not in the
Oh my gosh, how did that number get lost?
I'm the only one that noticed it?
I will get that for you for the next meeting. There is a number there. I don't know how it got lost in translation, but I'll get that for you. I have that. I have the PDF of that, so I'll pull it up. I'm not sure how that got missed. I apologize for that.
Yep.
And one other item, if I could, on
Go
the
ahead.
same thing. It was referring to number,
That was number 20. I'm sorry.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Referring to number 8, it says about the sections of pipe being replaced yearly. And you go, basically you go on and you gave a couple of examples of a couple places where you did work at. New Street, Briar Street Road, Church Street, you know, that. And you say this is all recently. Can you define recently?
Like within the last 20 years.
Within the last 20 years?
Yeah.
So all these projects were done,
Yes.
what, like in the last, let's say 5 years? Is are any within the last?
New Street was done in the last 5 years.
New Street?
Yes, was Briar City Road? Probably, no. South Street was done in the last 5 years.
Okay.
What else, guys?
Church Street was 2009.
Yeah, Church Street was 2009, so that was 10 years.
was only probably about 10 years.
Yeah, Briar City was
was
about,
after Church Street.
right, so maybe nine or 8 years. It was right when Mikey first started.
Mikey started in 07.
So basically, all of these have been done within the last, since 2000, basically.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, okay, that's
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another couple for you. My name is Matt Haslam, along with him up on Pine Hill Street. So one of the answers, I'm not sure which number exactly, but you say that the water is tested at a regular rate at certain places. So one of the questions our group kind of has is why is one of those locations that the water is regularly tested not any of the school systems in Minersville, where our kids go?
It's simply a matter of ease of access.
So the school won't let us in to test water?
It's not that they won't let us in. We have to test certain locations throughout the town as far as the far reaches of the system. And that just was, these places were actually set many, many years ago. And they have been, you have to actually pick a spot and stick with it for coliform testing. So those spots were chosen, and that's where they are. You have to actually like redo your, not your permit, but you have to redo your plan in order to change those locations.
The DEP will make you, if you're gonna change the plan, DEP wants to see the plan.
Right, that's what I'm saying, you have to file a
DEP's the main people.
new plan with DEP.
I think that question was asked before.
I don't remember that question asked before.
That's just a main concern of generally people in the areas, because our kids are our most valuable resource, you know? And so why is it not in the schools? And one of those locations. But another question is, well, if they have to stay at the same locations, why are we not testing other places even beyond the DEP regulations?
For what?
Just in general, to make sure that it's
Testing
actually,
for what though? That's what I'm asking you.
make sure that it's clean and
No,
actually
I'm
drinkable.
asking you what parameters, that's what I'm asking you.
To make sure it's actually drinkable for humans consumption. Just like the same test that you do at those locations that you're already testing at, why don't we have another location that we test at as well?
Because that's
that
not required
switches it
by
up.
DEP.
We have to do them under DEP rules.
Well, you can do in addition to.
That I don't know.
Well, EPA, they're not going to.
Well, of course we could, but there's a lot that goes into a
But
day.
why are we not doing more than the minimum when we have such a big problem?
Each test costs
We
$395.
have absolutely zero problem with coliform. There has never been a positive coliform test.
That's one,
That's only one of the tests, though.
yeah.
Well, that's the test that you're talking about, that we're talking about these set locations.
That's the only test you do at those set locations?
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
Well, I guess
and
that's
that
only
costs
not
how
fun.
much?
$385, ain't it?
You don't test for actually, if humans can consume it and actually drink the water without being sick. You don't test for that, you
That's
only
what
test for one
coliform
thing.
testing is.
That's only one thing.
Coliform is for fecal bacteria.
Correct, which makes it safe for human consumption.
Okay, but what about TMDLs?
Well, that's a whole other set of testing. That's
Well,
not
is
the
that not
set-
done at
That's
different
not the
parameters?
set, yes, but not those same 4 set locations that we're discussing.
Well, where can we get a copy? It was number 37. This was my husband's question, who is a civil engineer. He used to work for Benish. He now works for Pennsylvania Game Commission. But he said he can't understand why you don't understand what he means by the PA municipal code. Maybe we're talking about the DEP regulations that you have to follow, that you're talking about?
Yeah, the PA municipal code doesn't in itself have any jurisdiction over the water supply system. Because PA municipal code is what's applicable to municipalities, townships, boroughs. city.
Well, we would like a copy of that, your plan,
I
you
would
said
suggest you get that from either the borough, a township, or a city.
By the way, I'm Kathy Stone, 284 High
Yeah,
Road.
there's no bearing on the operation of the water system. We operate under DEP regulations, so, and I think that's what we went on to explain. So, PA municipal code, will give you, what boroughs have the rights to do, what townships have the right to do, and cities have the right to do, but there's nothing in there in terms of authorities. There's a Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Act that we work under, and then DEP imposes the regulations for that.
So that's who the water authority works under, the PA municipal code?
Correct.
So that's
No,
what we
no,
No.
the Municipal Authorities Act.
PA Municipal Authorities Act.
That's
So
the
that's what
act.
we're asking for a copy of then. That's what we need to get.
Or where can you get it?
Yeah, where can we find that?
Yeah, we'll give you the link, you can find that. Yeah, it's readily.
Oh, okay, it's on the web.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's readily available.
We do a lot of testing in a lot of different areas. I thought you were specifically asking me about the set coliform locations. That's what I thought, Matt, you were asking me about.
Okay, would it be possible to get a copy of every test that is done in the water system that we do?
That's provided to you in your annual drinking water report that is submitted, or that is handed out every year.
Okay, that's what I also want to bring up, because
Yeah.
I live in Cass Township, I don't get that drinking water quality.
It's on the
report.
website. We no
Oh.
longer have to mail them. It's on the
Okay.
website.
I
And
think
it's on the
last
website right now.
I think the last
Yeah.
3 years.
Oh, that's right, I do
On
remember
the
seeing it. When I lived in New Philadelphia, we got them in our mailbox.
Yeah, we used to give them out in the mail too, but then DEP changed their rule that we no longer have to do the paper mailing, that we can do it electronic.
Okay.
But we do lead and copper testing in 30 different locations, 20 different locations. We do TTHMs, HAA5s in different locations, we do TOCs, we do all different kinds of testings in different locations. It's not all at that set 4. I misunderstood what you were asking me, so I apologize.
Are those, say the 20 of testing,
Yes.
okay, are they always at that same, or do they vary?
Typically, they do vary, simply because of getting access to the homes or people not wanting to participate in the study any longer. So that is a moving thing, that does change. And we have to make sure that the home is, it meets certain criteria for lead testing. There's certain criteria that the home has to meet.
But none of all these testers, all of them,
Yes,
none of them are done at the store?
no.
Are they done at businesses or residents?
Oh, yes, they're done at both, residents and businesses.
And those other 4 locations, I think I asked that a while back.
Mm-hmm.
You said Turkey,
Turkey Hill,
Ronald,
the borough office, Fondle Concrete, and the water authority shop.
Okay, now, out of those 20-some locations that you were mentioning,
Mm-hmm.
would the board consider making one of them one of the schools?
Certainly, we could certainly do it. The problem with making it one of the schools is a lead and copper test is a first draw. So that means that we have to find somebody within the district who is willing to be responsible to take this sample, which would have to be a sample that was taken before any water in the entire building was used for the day, after a minimum, I think it's a 5-hour period. So that would be the only issue with the school as far as getting that lead and copper test.
Okay, well, I'm sure that the school could work with the board on something like that if the board approached
The
them.
school has never approached us and asked us to do anything like this, so that's the reason that we never have. I mean, it's never really been an issue.
To that regard, could the board approach them?
I don't know, that would be up to the board.
Who does the testing at the other sites then, at Turkey Hill?
I do.
Well, why can't you go to the school?
Well, it would have to be the first draw of the day.
That's,
so
yeah,
it
that's
would
what
have
I'm
to be
saying, like
before
that
anybody else
sample,
accesses the
I don't
building.
take. That's a sample that we give the bottles to the residents the day before. And then when they get up in the morning for work or whatever, they take that sample and then I go around and I collect them. That's only once every 3 years that we do that test, and it was just done in August. Lead and copper is done once every 3 years. That is the DEP rule for lead and copper.
and the results from that, done in August, where do I look for that?
Well, you'll find them on our annual drinking water report that when we fill that out this year. So we usually have it done before May for the year before. So then they'll be on that. You'll see the highest numbers on there.
And that doesn't give the specific
house or location?
No, we can't do that. We can't do that.
And are those sites distributed throughout the town?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There's homes in the Westwood Terrace area, there's homes in Minersville, there's homes downtown, there's homes in Marlin, there's homes in T-Berry Hill.
In the township, Lancaster Township.
Yes. And those are all residences, lead and copper.
Thank you. Or Monica Raxton, but everybody knows me.
John Hartwell, I live on North Street in town. You touched on the past projects that were done. Do you have anything in line other than the highway project for the next
yes.
1, 2, 4, 5 years?
Oh, yes, we have actually an extensive list.
I don't have the project list with me, but what I can tell you is the authority 2 months ago took action to put $3 million aside in new money to make investments in the system, and almost 75% of that will be used for line replacement work. Some of it, line replacement work as well as the addition of new line to close it where we have dead ends, so that we would loop the system. So what I'd be happy to do is I'd be happy to make that available to you.
Well, that would be fine.
Yeah.
Considering the criteria that you're using for the upgrades, I'd like to submit a cluster of breaks that I personally witnessed between on North Street from 2nd Street to 3rd, and then down to
We have that.
Rodnick's.
Yeah, you'll
That
see.
is on the list.
Yeah, you'll see that.
It's a low point in the system. There have been 10 breaks in the last 7 years. It's
Yeah.
almost 18% of the breaks over
All
the
right.
It was one of the criteria we used as to where there was a break history.
And it's a high water table, and you probably have displacement of the bedding.
Yeah. But yeah, you'll see that on there. But I'll make sure I have that with you for the next meeting.
Next meeting.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Another one for you. Those 20 locations you said are at private residences? Okay. First off, how do we know for sure that they are spread across the entire water system? You say that they are, but without knowing the addresses, how do we know that?
Well, DEP knows that, and DEP is the people that regulate us.
And secondly, why couldn't some of those locations be businesses like restaurants where a lot more people drink the water than one person? And why couldn't those addresses be publicly
I
available to
never
us?
said that they couldn't be, that's just not who is being tested right now. I mean, every time that somebody's being tested, you could say, well, why isn't this person tested? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
No, I know, but you're saying that we can't release those addresses to the public. We release them to DEP,
Correct.
right? But you're saying we can't tell us
Correct.
what addresses they are
It's a privacy issue.
because they're private.
You can you can see the results, sample A, sample B, sample C, sample D, but you're not going to see 476 North Street. You know what I mean?
I understand that. But the reasoning behind us not knowing those addresses is because they're private residences, which I do understand. But how come a certain, maybe 5 of those locations aren't restaurants or businesses where we could see those publicly?
Just because they're not. It's not that I specifically chose residences that you couldn't see. No one's ever even asked to see them before. So it's just never been an issue before.
And are you the one that chose those sites?
Yes, well, I mean, we have to sit down as a group and choose them based on the plumbing. That's what these sites are based on. So that's why they're actually, and even now, Don, if you want to talk about DEP's new regulations, that they've actually made it a little bit more stringent as far as the tiers.
Yeah, well, and that's actually kind of where I was going with it, because but I just curious. I mean, you do understand that if there's 3 homes and a restaurant, that water quality data is representative of that area. I mean, we don't.
No, I do understand, but what we're trying to get at is actual legitimate proof that those locations are spread throughout the entire system. That's what you're saying.
Are you questioning me?
Well, that's what it sounds like you're doing. You're questioning what she's saying.
We're questioning the board for all of your
Well,
answers.
DEP is
But
regulating.
DEP is
DEP
regulating.
mandates this.
If it
DEP
wasn't done
mandates
across
it.
the board, DEP would say you're in violation.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Everything that we do is regulated by DEP. We can't just submit whatever we want. It doesn't work like that.
To his point, right, you're saying if 3 homes in a row
Yeah.
don't have a problem, then the
not
restaurant
saying-
that's next door,
I'm not saying not have a problem,
Okay.
what I'm saying is, if.
It would be representative.
If any one of those was sampled, the data that would be generated from that sample would be representative of that portion of the service area.
you're correct.
Okay.
But what I'm asking is why, out of those 3 samples in our example here,
Yeah.
why is one of them not a restaurant where it could include a lot more people than one house resident?
It doesn't
But it wouldn't
include a lot
matter
more
because
people,
of
it's
the
the
line.
first draw of the day for that business, so it's basically that, the draw on that line.
Yeah, the sample bottle, and if the procedure that they would follow is exactly the procedure of the home that's next to it. There's no difference if they use, it has nothing to do with the amount of gallonage they use at any point in time. It's basically the first draw. So that's what I want to make sure let's assume that DEP did see that we have a sampling program that is representative of our service area. Let's just assume that because that is fact. From that, then, any data point within that is then representative of those regions. It isn't, because of the type of sample it is, it's the same sample bottle, it's same size sample bottle, same procedure. So if that would be the draw in a restaurant or the draw in a home, that would be representative. I think it's important because especially as the authority moves forward with their regulations, you're going to hear language now about new levels of testing that the department is now mandating, but it's all under the same principle. They do not expect the authority to test all of their customers, but what they want to make sure is that testing and sampling program is representative, so that there's no one area which is going unsampled that we don't have any data points on. And that's I don't want to belabor it, but the other thing is, it's the other reason why we try to keep sample points the same, because then as we proceed, then they're all comparable. We can then say, hey, for that location, this has consistently been this or consistently been that. If we hopscotch around, not that the data wouldn't be valuable at that single data point, but it would be more difficult to compare. But I think what's critical to it is wherever we sample, the site sample taken, if it's a resident taking it, is the same sample if it was a school, if it was a restaurant, or if it was an industry. The sample type is exactly the same, basically all collected in and around the same time frame. You drop off one day and then they collect the next.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So,
And those tests, you
Yeah.
said were done back in August, right?
Mhm.
And they would be available in May.
They're on the report in
The
May.
annual report will
Okay.
be available in May. And you will see the highest lead and the highest copper on that report.
So have we gotten the results back from that test?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, would we be able to see that information?
I don't think that that's something I can provide to the public. I don't know that.
yeah, I don't know what that,
That's something I would have to discuss with DEP, because again, it has the homeowner's addresses on it.
Well, without the homeowner's addresses, let's say.
The homeowner's addresses are on it.
so you just want
The raw data,
The data?
do you want
sample
the
A, this is the
numeric
data.
value? Yeah, we can provide a numeric value. We just can't make it site specific.
Let's say it would just, as the report in May would say,
Correct.
sample A, this is the data from that sample.
Well, that's what
No
I'm
action.
trying to tell you, like, when you
Cool.
see the report in May, it's not going to list all 20 samples. It's going to give you the highest lead and the highest copper from that group of 20, which both of them were well below the MCL, by the way.
Have you seen last year's report?
No.
Okay, how about we do, to start the conversation off, how about what we do is, for next meeting, we'll bring a copy of last year's report. Because it's basically, it's formatted, so I think it'd be easier to point out, to be able to say, here's what you should anticipate for the data from the 2020 report.
I think we can look it up on the
Okay.
Yes.
website.
Okay, well then.
That's available for last
Yeah,
year.
take a
We'll
look at that,
and
and then maybe, I think, if you come back from that and say, hey, here's some additional information we're looking for, at least you can point to that report and see what we are.
But the more data that we see as a group, I think the more transparent the board is, and the overall more trust is built between the two groups here, you know? I truly feel like the more open we are about data, the more open we can be about trusting, you know? And I'm not saying I necessarily inherently don't trust anyone specifically, I'm just saying data is important in any situation.
Hold it a second. Now, I'm going to say something, okay?
everybody I've read, I've seen people actually comment about the bonds that we re-signed. I am the person who signs the bonds, okay? I signed the ones we did when, 3 or 4 years ago, Melanie?
Yeah.
And I just signed the ones from now. Now, when you do a bond, okay, the money that you refinance pays off the old bond. So the money, the first set of bonds I signed was for $8 million, which paid off our bonds. The last bond I signed was for $3 million, which is being used for that project, okay? I've read stuff that, oh, every time they get all this money, where is it going, okay? It's not going anywhere. We repay the bonds. You need to understand how our budget works and how the bonds work, okay? So there's a lot of mistrust from your group on us, okay? I don't benefit anything from the bond issue. Everyone in the Minersville Water Authority benefits for it because we're trying to make improvements, okay?
I'm not every member of that group.
Well, I'm just telling you, I read it. If you want to generalize, I'm going to generalize. End of story.
There are members of our group that our administrators have disassociated with for those reasons.
I'm just curious. I've been a lifelong resident of Minersville, and I do forget a lot of things, but I never, ever remember, other than broken pipes that we all have it. You have to get the stuff in the door to clean our clothes, okay, after it breaks. And I remember dirty water, taking showers in dirty water. But I've never, ever remember the water being contaminated that we couldn't drink it.
Never has been.
I've never.
DEP shut you down as fast you would.
And I just don't know why all this comes up, other than I get frustrated too when the pipes break. Everybody does.
Yeah, but Mr. Kimmel, when the water is coming, I mean, and we haven't had this problem in a while, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
But when the water is coming out like Coca-Cola or coffee, nobody's drinking that.
No, I understand that. I'm not either.
So
when I take a shower in the
yeah, but we're not. I mean,
I don't
that
drink
goes
it.
back to boil water advisory.
When they say
things
boil
like
it,
that.
then of course I boil the water before I drink it, but that's always after, I never just, when it's just flowing like normal, okay, when
Yeah.
we don't have the pipe break, I've never ever saw a problem. I never saw anything by the borough saying to us, don't drink the water, it's high level, and then they would do that. That's what
I
we're
just
supposed to do.
I mean, I don't understand when, like, my young daughter when it was like chocolate or there's pieces of leaves and debris and stuff in the bathtub, and they're young children, and you know how that goes when they're playing in the tub. What are they ingesting? Like, why, you know, I just, and then for people who are older that can't see that the water is discolored. I mean, and again, I'm not rehashing because that problem hasn't come up for a while, and I just.
I can see frustration with that, but the tests and all, they come back positive. They don't come back negative.
I'm very
I don't know
diligent with
how
my
many-
testing, and I've never had an issue where I either didn't do a test or a test came back positive and I didn't report it or anything like that. So I do take it personally when you accuse me of lying or
I'm not accusing you of
cooking
lying.
books, or how do we know you're really sampling if we don't know the addresses? Like, I do take a personal offense to that because I have been here for 25 years
And
and
please
I have
understand
been very diligent at my job.
Please understand, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying data is important
We
in
need
any situation.
transparency.
I understand that, but some things, it's just not possible. I can't give you people's addresses.
That's against the
Unless
rules.
I get them to all sign waivers,
Legal.
and I'm not gonna run around and get people to sign waivers so you can see their addresses.
But forgive us.
Can't you generalize, like 400 block of North Street, 300 block of Pine Hill
I can
Street?
give sample A, sample B, sample C, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that we have tested every section of the town. Now, when I say section, lower end of town, upper end of town, New Minersville, Marlin, West Terrace, T-Berry Hill, like, other than that, I don't know what you want from me.
This has been done for 25 years, and it's only this year that people are questioning it.
Because we've had so many
About
breaks.
time.
I moved into Minersville in 1966. I'm lying, 68. No, it was 66. I go back. And I'm diligent about cleaning toilets.
I know, and I'm not
And
saying
no,
we don't get dirty water.
No, I'm not talking about the dirty water. At 6 o'clock, before I got ready to come down here, I went downstairs to the bathroom, and there is that pink stuff again. Now, since 1966, I've never seen pink stuff in my toilets or on the shower curtain.
I understand what you're saying, but Mrs. Rackett, I'm telling you that that is not coming from your drinking water. It is not coming, Don, back me up on this, please. It's not coming. It can't live in chlorine. So it can't live in drinking water.
So it's coming from inside my house?
It's airborne. It's airborne. It's not that your house is dirty or anything like that, but it's an airborne bacteria that lives right where your water meets the rim of your toilet. Like, you can't see it down in the water, can you?
No, the water is
Right.
clear right now. It's the commode itself is scummed with pink.
Right.
Or there's a ring of pink.
No, it's from the water line down.
This is a film on
A
it.
film?
It's a biofilm.
I use a brush and
Serratio-
rubber gloves, so I
serratio.
didn't feel it.
But that can't live in
Yes,
chlorinated
it can if the chlorine
Well,
is
yeah.
not adequate. If
You are correct, but I can guarantee, I will come out to your house this week and test your water for chlorine.
Sure.
I have no problems doing that. Because I can tell you right now that certainly, I had people here last month saying the chlorine's too high.
Right, well, I can vouch for
And
the
now the chlorine's inadequate.
Well, haven't I had chlorine since 1967?
Absolutely, that's why I'm trying to tell you that it's not coming from the drinking
Well, how
water.
did this airborne stuff just arrive?
It didn't just arise, I don't know why you're only seeing it now. I can't answer that because it's not, I don't know, it's not in the drinking water. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But I can test your water for chlorine to make sure that you have adequate chlorination in your water. Because that would be the only way Serratio could live in your water. Otherwise it can't. Chlorine kills it.
So don't come out too soon because I just cleaned it tonight.
Well, I don't need to see the bacteria, I just need to test your water for chlorine.
Okay. Moving back to that very way back when, go way back, okay? When it's about the 4 test, okay? I believe part of your answer was that it's done in like an outlying area for, what was your terminology?
Different sections of the town.
Yeah, I thought you said something about it having to be like, I know this isn't your word, but like at the end of a line or something like that?
Well, not the end of a line, but like at different ends of the town.
Oh, okay, because I'm wondering how, you're taking the test here in this building?
Correct.
Right, that's one of the places.
Correct.
This doesn't seem to be the end of the town.
No,
You know what I mean?
maybe I misspoke when I said that, I may have said.
That's why I was just curious. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
Okay. There's one more for you. Last month, I was here with another member of the press, and we got answers from, and we were very gracious to your answers, by the way. But we just wanted to know, kind of, in general in the press, why we aren't getting answers directly from someone on the board, and we're directed towards the engineer instead on some of our questions.
Because the engineer represents us and he knows more factual information than we do. The same as our attorney does. He gives us legal advice. He knows more about legal entities than we do, okay? Melanie is the manager. We rely on her for information, okay? We are here as overseers to make sure things are done right. We all live in Minersville. We all drink Minersville water, okay? We oversee everything. And I've been on this board for about 8 years, maybe 9, I'm not sure. Ed, you've been on here how long?
I don't know, it's a long, long time.
15 years. You've been on here how long, Al?
And
10. Kevin's on shortly. I have never seen anything that has been illegal. Not that illegal is not the word. What's the word I want?
Appropriate and illegal.
Yes. So I mean,
And that's kind of what we're here to do. None of us are experts in
That's
this
what we
subject.
all have.
We're here to be, in essence, to represent the people of the town. I'm an accountant. I mean, we're here to just make sure things are being done right.
It's not distrust, it's just,
No,
because I was like,
distrust to me, and that's where
it's not distrust, it's wondering, it's just a curiosity of
I've been
why.
here.
But your
80 years.
curiosity has implications, is all I'm saying. I think we're here to listen to what these experts say and say, does that sound right to, as someone who lives in the town, just like you guys? we're here to say, does this sound right? Does this sound wrong? Is this inappropriate? That's really what we're here for. I'm also in the school board, so, you know, I'm not a teacher, I'm not an expert there. I just want to help. These people want to help. We've helped for how many, you know, we're not here to be interviewed because we would not be the experts at it. So that's why these guys do a great job doing that. I just think it's important that these people, you know, these people care. We're not trying to hide anything. We're trying to do the job we're here to do, which is really only to hear this out every meeting and say, what's the best thing to do for the town? And that's really what's getting done here. I mean, and I think when there's questions being brought up, like the distrust and the things that were said, written, all of that, it does get, you know, it does get people upset because we are here to help. You know, however we got here, nobody's in it for themselves. We're in it for the town, just like we are at the, you know, like I'm at the school board, like these guys are on other things. It's just, we're trying to help, you know, so if we want to work together, it works great. They're saying this because the last few meetings, we've had a lot of activity, and that's great. But before that, we really haven't, and that's, you know, it would have been nice to have this input. It would have been nice to be able to go to certain areas of the town and say, this is where we need to focus, but we just didn't. So now we're getting the help, and as long as we work together, it's going to get better. It really is, because they do care. But we have to defer to the experts with everything, and we're not lawyers, we're not, you know, engineers.
And I think that has shown
I think that's
over the past couple
point.
months when the group in general, not me specifically, has been here.
Right.
We have gotten
Oh, yeah, I
to
think it's
work,
been,
and the water
Yeah.
has gotten better since.
right. And I think it needs input on your end too. But we're giving our input just to say, this seems good, this seems like the best thing for the town. We vote yes, we vote no, whatever the case may be. But we do need your input, but we need positive input. We need it to work together. And I think that's the important thing that, you know, sometimes, you know, people get a little worked up, frustrated just because we know we're here to help. So we
But
just
we
want to
go
make
to-
sure we work together.
Everybody complained, but nobody ever did it to the point, to neighbors, you know, how's your water?
Right.
Oh, it's dirty.
Right.
Finally, a group got together with knowledge, not just like me. I don't have the knowledge that the people have over here. Finally, somebody got a group together and said, hey, do you want to join so we can find out? Well, yes, because that's questions people have had for years, but and nobody to ask them.
Right, and that's good. I just think we weren't getting asked the questions, and we didn't know what areas of the town really, we knew where breaks were, but we didn't, you know, we need to focus a little bit more in this area because there's a group of people here. And I think in the initial, you know, beginnings of your group and coming in, there were some people that were making it difficult to really work together. And we're not gonna get anything done working against each other. There's nobody out here trying to, you know, hide really anything. And I'm pretty impartial here. I've been 3 years, and I know these guys are great at what they do. They're trying our best. Some of our alternatives are not good. Replacing the system is gonna be, you know, we've explained how much that is. So we're trying to do our best to improve the system as much as we can, as quick as we can, with the help, with the great guys we have working here, doing their thing every day. I see every day that, you know, the projects they're doing. It's important that we work together, because we are improving it just in the last few months. And if we keep working positively and we keep kind of have a back and forth that's positive, it's gonna get things done even more.
I don't know, for the duration I've been on this board, we've always had the subject matter experts here. So when someone has come with questions and stuff, if the board couldn't address it, the subject matter experts, either were here to address it, or if they weren't here, we got you the answer by the time the next meeting was.
Okay, Ed, just what you said. How many people, citizens, actually came to meetings? I've been coming for 9 years, and at most meetings, whether it be borough, sewer, water, I was the only one there. You know, I don't remember people coming besides me. You know, and I was actually asked by a Minersville borough councilman, don't you have something better to do? You know, and I said, no, I'm tired of people asking me downtown, hey, what's going on? And I said, come to the meetings.
Right.
I finally posted that, hey, it's only 1 hour a month, and finally we got a whole room full, didn't we?
And it's important to remember
Yeah.
that these people sitting behind the table here are every month doing the same thing for that same reason.
Yeah.
Is that we're not here, because I'm not here for my health or anything that benefit me. I'm here because I see people that have a need, and we want to try and do our best to, we
Well,
don't
what
do
I've
very much.
seen over the
to be
years,
honest with you.
nobody
Say
ever
yes and no.
came. You know?
All right, okay, now,
That's it.
with the weather coming up, we're going to move on because we have a lot to cover in our agenda. So if you have questions, save them for next meeting, okay? Moving on, projects reports.
Okay, I'd like to first confirm that the 2 grant applications that the authority authorized be submitted to DCED were submitted in compliance with the deadlines. And if you use the timetable that they've been following in the past, we would expect sometime between September and the end of the year to hear what decisions made on those applications. We did reach out to the political offices representing the Minersville area, and they all wrote letters of support for the projects that were submitted to DCD. Obviously, as we get queries, as those applications are reviewed, we'll let you know. But in the meantime, at least they have all the documentation they require.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next item I have for the authority, this is just for general information, but then also I will be asking for specific action. Now that you'll be closing on the financing, I believe tomorrow, BJ, once that's in place, we'll be able to make the draws on those new funds. Procedurally, what must be done for each draw is what's called a requisition has to be prepared, which basically outlines any invoices that need to be approved and drawn against the account. I'm required to sign, the engineer's required to sign it, solicitor's required to sign it, and 2 members of the board also need to sign it. So for requisition number 1, I'm presenting for the authority's consideration the payment of an Intech engineering invoice in the amount of $12,465.66. Should this be approved by the authority, it'll be submitted to M&T Bank, and they will release the funds for payment to that invoice. So I would ask for that action by the authority.
I'll make a motion to do that. Okay, Ed makes a motion to do that. We have a second. We need a roll call vote?
Roll call vote.
Or just a general vote?
Yeah, just a general.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passed.
One last item, just so you're aware, early next month, we'll be meeting at the filter plant to do an inspection of the filter media, and following that, we'll be coming to the authority for authorization for the replacement of the media once we can have that work qualified.
Okay.
I have nothing further.
Great, thank you, Don. Okay, next, bond refinance.
So that was all under Don.
Okay, and project update. Okay, solicitors report.
Solicitor's report is that, as Don mentioned, that the financing for the improvements will be in place by tomorrow. So we'll be ready to go. The money will be available to make the improvements that are necessary. Also, a default letter was sent out to the tenant on our property that's doing the strip mining, or the mining, deep mining. So those are the 2 things that are going on right now. But the big thing was that the financing will be for the improvements will be finished by tomorrow.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, managers report.
The dam inspections were completed in November, along with the appraisals, or not the appraisals, I'm sorry, the surveying, and also the DEP dam inspections, so that's all done. Pull receipts for this month, we have $2,142.15 for 428.43 tons. And then we also have a check for $20,000 towards the Kimmel balance. Once we get to, I don't know if you want me to discuss it now while we're on it, the poll. We got some letters attached with the checks from the Harris's. So this is the check for $20,000, and it says, I've received the letter from the lawyer. I've enclosed a check for $20,000 owed from the breaker. Please allow us to get caught up with the royalty payments. At the end of April, I should be able to send in another substantial payment to help bring us current. I will make regular weekly payments. I am truly hoping and asking you to continue to allow Stumpy and Jordan to mine on your property. They have been mining on your property for years. They have great respect for the water authority, and to be evicted would be a great devastation for Stumpy and I, and Jordan and his young family, and the men working for us. We will lose everything, and for this, I ask you to continue to allow us to mine and pay our debt. And then with the check for the $2,000, this letter, it said, I have sent tonnage payment, and the check for December 20th, I have emailed Joanne from the Reading Ranger to make sure I am not missing any tonnage slips for January and February. If I am missing any from these 2 months, I will send another check. For the year of 2020, So that I don't get behind, this year I will send the 2020 weekly tonnage and add to it the tonnage from 2019. At the end of April or May, we should be able to reapply for a loan, and I will send another substantial amount to pay our 2019 tonnage. Thank you, Wanda Harris. So essentially, in 1 month, we got $22,142 from them.
Okay, so they are behind how much roughly?
Well, this tonnage that they just said, the 20,000 was a separate, that was.
Right, that was separate.
The tonnage that she sent me was from 1/3/19 to 3/22/19. So from 3/22/19 to now is what they still owe.
Okay.
So what she was saying is that she'll add that tonnage to the paychecks for 2020 to get current. And then she said hopefully in April, they can send in a large amount that will get them completely current.
Why don't you wait till April, see if they are, if they fulfill their
Yep.
obligations and go current. If they're not current by April, then we'll reinstitute our default notice.
Okay, that works for me. We,
I'll
vote on
let them
that or not? No? No? Okay, we're good. Where were we at? Filtration? Did we do that?
Nothing other than my submitted report.
Okay, treasurer's report. There isn't a treasurer's report in there. Okay.
We'll have to for next month.
Okay, presentation of bills. Okay, we have bills in the packet. All right,
Motion they be paid.
we have a motion to pay them. We need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Correspondence, email from David Bonkovich.
So, as I mentioned last month, we are having a full system leak detection survey done. So, excuse me, on December 2nd, he sent us an email just letting us know where he was. So the email says, I have completed approximately 25 miles in Minersville, Marlin, West Terrace, and Branch Township. 2 confirmed leaks were already reported. One at 11 Second Avenue in West Terrace. It's small, maybe 15,000 gallons per day. And then another small one at 111, 114 Josephine Street, maybe 5,000 to 7,000. And then he had 2 other small ones that he wasn't sure about. He hadn't pinpointed them. One was in West Terrace on Hill Terrace Drive, and the other one was in Marlin on Maple Avenue. He said he is very impressed so far with how tight the system, the residential distribution areas are. Whatever the guys are doing, keep it up. I would normally have expected at least 10 to 12 leaks so far. So that's really good. I mean, for him to expect 10 to 12 leaks, and the one that he thought he heard over in West Marlin on Maple Avenue was actually a gas line.
Okay.
So that wasn't even a leak. And which one did we repair? 2nd Avenue?
The one on 2nd Avenue was a service line going to a house that was on their side.
Service line.
Okay, we have one on 2nd Avenue that we need to do.
What about the Josephine Street one?
Josephine Street's on the customer side also.
Okay, so they're not even our leaks, which is great. So that goes to show that we're diligent about taking care of our system. So he said that it's really good.
They have more to do?
Yes.
Okay.
And he said he has to do the valley yet, and I guess that's it, the valley all the way out to the
Some
plant.
right away line, but other than that, it's
Yeah.
completed.
Main transmission lines.
Right, yeah. So that's good.
All right, great, thank you. Unfinished business.
Okay, last month, you guys approved option 6 for the insurance.
Correct.
Well, the borough revisited it, and they found a different option that is actually cheaper for the borough and better for the employees. It's option 3. So I have an email here from Jamie. It says, after much discussion and some debate, the borough had finally decided upon option 3 of the health insurance selections for 2020. Mike, as a reminder, option 3 was the plan initially preferred by the committee formed to consider healthcare changes. Following that meeting, an attempt to make changes less burdensome to employees, option 6 was later developed. Shortly thereafter, the Water Authority gave approval for option 6 under the assumption that it was in the best interest of employer and employee. However, after further discussion with employees, it was learned that there was an employee preference for option 3 over option 6. Since option 3 also gives each entity the greatest cost savings, it makes the most sense to implement option 3. The borough did so officially at their December meeting. The Sewer Authority has previously passed a motion to implement whatever plan was chosen by the borough. At your meeting tonight, I am asking that you amend your November adopting option 6 and instead agree to implement option 3. Under option 3, we will enjoy lower premiums than option 6. So option 3, Megan, I printed this out, but it's way too small for me to read. Can you tell them what the plan changes are?
For option 3, the police stay the same. The water authority employees, the deductible stays the same. The office for regular physicians stays at 25. The office visits for specialty doctors like orthopedics, cardiologists will go up to 50. The ER will go from 50 to 100. And the prescription plans, which were 10, 30, and 50, will now be 10, 50, and 85. And the mail order goes from 20, 60, and 85 to 20, 125, and 235.
Okay, and the difference
Steve,
in
did
the
you wanna
premium,
add
is there a difference in the premium?
No. That was the 3.6.
It's actually, it's cheaper for the
It's
borough.
3.1 savings instead of the 2.9 savings of option
all right.
6.
I just looked at that. Number 98, that was the final.
Okay. All right, so what we need to,
We need to amend the motion to switch it from option 6 to option 4.
I'll make that motion.
okay, we need a second.
There's no buses out there, you throw them.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote for that, I guess. Yeah, okay.
Mr. Kimmel.
Yes.
Mr. Butler.
Yes.
Mr. Andrewchik.
Yes.
Mr. Boda.
Yes.
Mr. Reaver.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, motion passes. Handbook changes.
Okay, I gave you
Oh, I'm
guys,
sorry. Right, okay, go ahead.
I gave you guys all copies of that drug and alcohol policy change that they wanted to make last month. However, the borough did not discuss it at this meeting,
No.
so we're just gonna table that until we hear anything changing with the borough, then we can revisit that.
Okay, all right,
Good?
Good.
Okay.
thank you. New business, meeting dates,
We need to make a motion to advertise the meeting dates for 2020.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Budget,
You all have received a copy of a draft of the 2020 budget for your review, and then we can discuss it and vote on it next month.
okay, that sounds good.
I mean,
You have to approve it this month or you can't.
we can make it retroactive.
Okay. Well, then the employees don't get
Right.
anything.
BJ, we can make a retroactive, correct?
Right, we get it
You can,
retroactive.
but I pointed out the salary, if there are any increases in salaries,
You can't pay them, you can't do it at that time, you have to wait till January and then I have to back pay them.
Is that gonna be too much work for you? Is it gonna be like a big deal? I didn't mean that sarcastically, I swear I didn't.
I prefer not to back pay.
Isn't it the same budget you previously presented to these?
This is the first time it's been presented.
Yeah, I would just have to do retros for everybody.
We'll wait.
No, I just will do, once it gets approved in January, they'll get back paid.
Yeah, okay, we're good. It's only one, what is it, one day?
It's 2.
Okay,
No, it would be 3.
okay.
Quick question. The budget that you were talking about, is that accessible through the borough or?
Once it's
When they're approved.
finalized.
Yeah, once it's finalized, yeah.
All right.
Okay, board members, got anything? No, okay, we need one other thing.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Adjourned.